All right. Sorry about that. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalawam. Oops, wrong platform, wrong day. Man, I'm all messed up. Sorry. You're actually here on Q2UA. And for some odd reason, all right, sorry. Give me a second. I gotta jump out of here. Okay. That is just weird. Sorry, because if I don't do things a certain way, it messes up on the my platforms. So, all right, I'm back. See how that changed on over? Because this is thriller. No, I had to do the Michael Jackson movie theater switch. I'm sorry. I know it's Halloween. Uh, but right now, I am getting ready for the Uh, it's this is a fast. It was proposed over on Covenant Awakenings channel, Covenant Awakenings, and that is for the fast from sun up to sundown. So it's a sun up to sundown fast that was proposed over at the Covenant Awakenings channel. That is a direct impact on Q2A and Q2A's mission because we are fasting and praying for a breakthrough on different elements. Here's the reality: we already have the breakthrough, but we're asking for the Most High to put that breakthrough now within our hands. There are a lot of things that we do in the background. Last night, I had a very awesome meeting with some of our folks within the community and outside of the community, as there are many different planning apparatuses that goes on for the medical shipping container to have gone to Burkina Faso. You're not just ordering it. Oh, there you go. Amazon's going to deliver that, right? And it's hard because I know a lot of our people and I'm not saying you all, but for a majority of people, they don't really truly understand the logistics and the coordination of those logistics that go on in the background unless they've been in logistics themselves. And that's not just a hey, we got this ordered and slap a seal on it, send paperwork on over and COD or whatever. And no, there are meetings upon meetings for the coordination of talking to people, making sure that we weren't sending over a container based IED, making sure that we were who we said we were, getting the proper vetting and coordination in the background, having the security checks in the background. Don't trust me. I can't trust myself. So there's scrutinization. And I didn't mind being scrutinized. Why does this have to take so long? Why is this? Look, stop complaining. And it's hard for our people to understand that that is truly the situation that's occurring. before I go on, I do want to say and give a shout out to ADDI. I want to first acknowledge the success of the permanent residency for all those that applied. And I'm going to say this, I truly appreciate the Burkinabe for having the process the way that that process goes. So let me kind of tell you how that process goes. You have your permanent citizenship, and basically what that is, excuse me, permanent residency, and basically what that is your pathway towards citizenship. So you just don't have a citizenship like that. Because when you cut off your citizenship, guess what you're going to do? Potentially, you'll cut off your benefits if you're a retiree, if you're a government employee, if you're this or that. You never know. If you're receiving some sort of, benefit, things of that nature. And let's say that, well, you thought that it was a lot more built up, a lot more functional than what you thought it was. And, you may not be quite as ready for that experience as you once you had thought. And, it that happens to the best of us. Oh, wow. I had romanticized and, man, I can't even use my sleep apnea machine. Oh, I had romanticized and, man, I can't even, do what I need to do for other things that's going on. A lot of us are older. We're not in our 20s, 30s. Most of us are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, and reaching up in the 70s and 80s. What we're doing is we're laying the groundwork for our children and their children to be able to have a future in a place that is literally being cut off. I do not think that, more than likely, I'm going to say this, more than likely, my thoughts and my prayers, especially my prayers, they go on out to our people in Jamaica, but I will find it highly unlikely that there will be any aid going to the people of Jamaica. I'm just saying. Right now, we're putting together efforts to be able to start the coordination to move medical shipping containers over to Haiti. Excuse me, not Haiti, Jamaica. I had Haiti on my mind. Jamaica, sorry. I was thinking about all those quote unquote relief efforts that they had for the Haitians after the major earthquake, and all of that went into the pockets of the cronies. So even if they do release funds, even if they do say we have billions of dollars, how much of that actually goes to the actual ground, to the people? This place is cooked. I told you, every trick that they had under the book has now been exposed. So now everything that's left for them to do is to go into hiding on military bases, and then from military bases by helicopter or plane, get transferred on into their bunkers. Boy, doesn't that sound like Revelations? Who say to the rocks fall on them? I don't know. I don't know. That may not be that time. I mean, after all, we're waiting on Rapture 17.0. That should take place after Rapture 15 and 16.0 on the 18th edition of the Left Behind series. I digress. This is the Q2UA platform. I am your host, Karis Copeland. You could call me Brother Karis. Let's begin. Da-da-dum. I would do that sound bite, but everything is copyrighted and everything's here. Do you understand? Like when, as soon as everything went to like, oh, it's a copyright, it's this, it's that. I'm like, yeah, this thing is gonna fail in about within 2 years. Within 2 years, they're talking about deploying the National Guard within 60 days. Uh, Probably 15 days. Probably within 2 weeks. They probably won't be at full strength within 60 days. Within a week, they'll start having augmentations. Within a week, they'll start getting schedules. They say 60 days because 60 days by law, you have to do 30 days for your employers and everything else under, I believe, SCRA and USERA and all those other military, state, national reserve um, troops and things of that nature. So, can it be done? Yeah, absolutely can be done. The states are trying to sue for federal funds that only $5 billion is a portion to it. That's the band aid, I guess. And then, the folks can get half the turkey because that's going to be about half the funds. So, there's there's going to be some challenges. And I don't want to be and sound harsh or mean or coy, but look, those programs have been thoroughly abused. Let's not even trip. You don't have a system that is able to provide funds for allowing, let's face it, Jordan shoe collections and Louis Vuitton collections to mount up. Them J's is for my baby. I'm not saying that all of them have done that. I'm not saying that that's the majority, but I do say that those are certainly had been some, I'm going to say that some of the abuses. And now there are others that have legitimate concerns. I get it. I have family members right now that cannot work. I have excuse me, family members right now that are sick and that are on those programs. I get it. Legitimate. And some not so legitimate. I get it. But the reality is that we got too comfortable in this place because we as a people, I'm going to say this as a collective because you want to know what? The reality is for those that hadn't taken advantage of those programs, for those that did not have to, most high willing, blessed to not have to be in the position to be be on those programs, we became an enabler. Because the reality should have really been that everybody here in the US is a vulnerable group. And I'm not going to say everybody here, but you all kind of get the general scope. Especially if you're of African American descent, where we can get hired a couple days, you're effective, and then a couple months later, you're fired. Look, I have no qualms about it. I could be fired at any time, any day. I know how I got on my job. But here's the reality of that. I thank the Most High. I already knew I'm here for a season. And I treat my the job that's employing me right now as an opportunity to learn about our children's position because they quickly will be entering the workforce in around less than 4 to 5 years. In another decade, they will be there as that entry level, as that junior. And wherever we're at, and whatever we're doing, in whatever location that we're sitting at, more than likely, as folks can now see, chances are we're going to be on the continent, whether people really believe it or not. Oh, everything is going to be good as military personnel literally are advancing, or excuse me, government officials are literally explaining the plan to go to military bases. Yeah, so then they can do command and control within those bunkers. I was talking to my students yesterday. I said, understand how the Soviet Union collapsed. A lot of people don't like to look at those types of case studies. The Soviet Union had collapsed. It was at least they estimate from at least 18 to 24 months. Services kept going through, checks kept getting quote unquote paid, and then the economy just started to unravel. Well, what happened to the check? Well, I don't know because I didn't get a check, and therefore you didn't get a check, and therefore we didn't get it. I don't know. And guess what? They just kept going and going and going till they just said, "Hey, well, I'm going to get paid eventually. I'm going to get paid eventually." And I had to realize how eerily similar things had been. Oh, well, now we're going to go into hiding. Now the leadership is going to, say that they have this war here or this thing there. Or we're starting Venezuela here. We're starting this flare up here, there. This is for what? For a distraction. To do what? To give people top cover, to run, to hide, to hang out. We truly don't know what's happening in the background. I would suspect we truly do not know. I know there was something that was posted in regards to a an agency that had been basically shut down. And people were trying to call that agency and people were trying to contact that agency and they went to the office and the office was effectively closed. There was a lawyer that showed on up to pay a bill that that agency had sent on out to one of its clients. I don't know if you all had saw that video, but I'm trying to be very measured with my words as I'm explaining that. I know the YouTuber Perky, she had that on one of her most recent videos. She was commenting on the TikTok of the lawyer that had gone to that particular agency to pay that bill that the client had due to taxes. That's all I can say. I'll let you figure out the rest of that. And then supposedly that agency was shut down. Supposedly there was no one there. Supposedly people were talking about that they had relatives, they had friends, they had family, that all of a sudden they were effectively liquidated. I don't know how true that is or not. You know, some of this stuff is highly, highly misinformation, disinformation. But in reality, how do we know? We're in a time to where, as I stated, if you're not communicating, then guess what? People are assuming, and those assumings then become facts, and they become factual claims, factual evidence. They become the assertions that then create the assumptions, and then people start to panic. I'm sorry, family, we're on that cusp right now in less than 24 hours. When people have a quarter tank of gas in their new E class, this type of quote unquote prosperity, they threw that on us. They threw that on us. So you could be hood rich. And that was all an illusion. It was a carefully designed illusion, but an illusion nonetheless, where you then have countries saying, no, you can't. You have countries saying, hold on. Let's think about this. Let's have a measured process of getting you on in here. And do you see, did you all understand and really get the amount of entitlement that we even have as our own people? The only thing I could literally think of was, man, that is how the Most High saw our ancestors in Genesis. Excuse me, in Exodus, in Leviticus, in Numbers, and Deuteronomy, right there. And I smiled and I looked at the students, and the students don't know that I'm literally just kind of quoting Bible to them all day. They don't know that. They don't know that I'm literally just giving word to them all day. That's why my classes are literally the most calm classes that you have in the whole entire school. The teachers, they're amazed. How do you do this? How do you do that? And I said this to the students. I said, be of good courage, because when you are through with this trial, when you're through with this test, you're going to end up even brighter, brighter than gold, because you've gone through these trials. You're going to go through this trial, this storm. I have to obviously narrow things down in the faith based. limitations that I have. But hey, if they're saying, please rise for the national anthem or please stand for a moment of silence, I can give words of encouragement in the class without directly quoting any verse to be of good cheer. When they have us pledging to their idol. Don't get it twisted. Their idol. And pledging to their idol. Affirming to their idol. Have you noticed that? You better make sure you pledge or you affirm. I don't do any of that. I stand, but you want to know the funniest thing about me standing? I'm the only one in that room that stands, and with the room being about, I would say, about 40% black folks. I don't tell the kids to stand up. I just stand up. It's up to them. Those kids just stay seated. And as they stay seated, the other kids stay seated. And again, I don't say anything to them. We just go on about our day. I give them the lesson plan and we get to moving. Excuse me. Because the reality is that at home, they're having these conversations. And I guarantee you, those parents are like, you better not stand for that flag, as I can assume, as I can have an assertion. You better not. They'll probably ask, what does your teacher say about it? He doesn't say anything. He just stands, he'll stand up. If they call me out on it, then guess what? I'll be more than happy to answer. I'm sorry. I gave up on trying to live in hypocrisy a couple years ago. Now, if you ask me to stand and observe the moment of silence, I'll stand and observe the moment of silence. Anything else, I don't deem that it is of value to me. But this is where we're at in the society. You're an employee? Yes, I am. I still consider myself a good teacher. No, I just don't play the stupid games. I'm sorry. What does that benefit? The reality is that they're not coming after anybody for not standing for the flag. They're not doing that anymore. They already know the game is up on that one. Look, I'm here to teach. I'm not here to affirm my loyalty to white supremacy. I'm sorry. What? That's our flag. That's our I understand that. That is your constitution. I get it. See, a lot of us don't know how to argue the topic. You all made it perfectly clear that we're actually not citizens here. Because if we're actually citizens, that reparations check would have been paid to the wrong and the harm that we have had done to us as citizens of this land for hundreds of years. That's not the point. Oh, it is the point. That's exactly the point. And see, do you understand? Trump literally gave all the ammunition to destroy their counterpoints. That's why they're mad at him. That's why they have these No Kings protests. That's why they get mad that we're not showing up at these No Kings protests. And they're looking very sad because they know that we know that they have been exposed. If you noticed, nobody's really on out there that is able to come at people. Those days are done. You don't see that anymore. You want to know why you don't see that anymore? Because it was mainly them that were actually the ones that had been those recipients because they were proud. Hey, you need to buy into that system. You see how that works? Buy into that system to get those recipients, to keep everything on, to keep us on top in that Ponzi scheme. That Ponzi scheme got called out. I told you. I said, look, once they stop buying the bonds, right? They weren't able to buy bonds June, July, August. I said, yep, they know. They had already forecasted, yep, we're going to run out by this time, this time, this time. How quick was all that hoopla about we got to get our cities and everything else? Did you see the timing? We got to get Chicago. That started in what? August, right? Was it really about Chicago, or was it really about they ran out of money, so they know that they were going to have civil disobedience in about 60 days, and now they needed to have a police presence, and then they had to mobilize and be able to game plan of how that internal mobilization is going to be. One thing that I do have to say hallelujah to is I've seen a lot in Haiti, excuse me, Jamaica. What did I say? In Jamaica, a lot of the Jamaican authorities, they were talking about being able to have their funds, their emergency funds from the Jamaican government. Now, granted, here's the reality of this. They may say that it's their funds, but I'm pretty sure what's probably happening right now, they're trying to make every single phone call that they can to every single country that they can in order to provide funds. And I'm going to tell you this, and a lot of people may not like this. There's always an agenda when people provide aid and help. There's always an angle. Yeah, we'll provide the money that you need, but that land and that property has to be seized. That property has to be taken. We need this property here. We're going to build our resort there. We need to thin out the population here. You need to get rid of some people there. They already know what they're getting ready to do. They're getting ready to more than likely sell their country to the Indians, the Chinese, or whomever. Here in the next 20, 25 years, the Caribbean's not going to look like the same Caribbean. If you all didn't know, China is undergoing its biggest expansion campaign ever. Once the US is out of the way, they'll be able to expand. The only problem that they'll have is expanding on the continent. They've always had problems, traditionally speaking. They're there, but they're not there in the capacity of what they want to be in that colonialization capacity, in that BRICS colonialization capacity. And pretty soon that will probably be the Sino colonialization or Sino. You've heard it here at Q2UA how I've termed Sino colonialization. I have it here on written record. It was on StreamYard. It was on YouTube. Catch that algorithm. Yep. And there are also a couple of other nations there in the Caribbean, especially over in the Bahamas. Oh, you need us to give you a loan? Oh, you need us. Look, we're not just going to give it to you for free. You're going to take this loan? This is why, family, it is integral to have these relationships, to have these connections on the ground over in the continent. Family, I intend in the next couple of days, in less than a week, I'll be over in New York. As I had stated a couple of weeks ago, that trip is going to be about 1,500 to 2,000 USD. Can't make it up. And I was trying my best to be so cheap and cut corners. I said, yeah, I said, we'll only get this flight for For $240. I said, that's better than the budget I thought I had. I was like 250. I said, man, brother saving money. Look at this. Hallelujah. I was trying to stay with my cousin over in Long Island. I said, all right, maybe I just need about $200, $300, to get on over to Manhattan and back. My cousin said, "No, I can't help you. The dog, he has a couple Rottweilers. One of them's older, sick, diabetes, and that causes issues. I can only imagine. I went through the same with a golden doodle. My son was very distraught. So here we are at this time. I said, all right. I said, thanks, cousin. I appreciate it. My cousin's good people, and I knew that if they're going through some things, they're going through some things. I understand that. I said, no, I appreciate it. I just wanted to, you got to let people know, got to check in with folks. You got to check in with the family. Hey, look, I'm on out here. You could be a help. Or last time when I popped in on her when I had visited Tanzania, she allowed me to stay on over for a few hours, and we were able to talk, and it's good. It was good. But this go around, now this is business. This is all business. This is all business for the people. It's all business for our community. It's all business for the diaspora. These are the times that we're living in. I don't know how else to explain this to our people. If we don't help each other, ain't nobody coming to save you. Flee. That's what the word says. It's a simple plan. People, what's the strategy? What's the strategy? Talk to our brothers and sisters over on the continent. And they are more than willing to help us, to work with us. They know our missteps, they know our flaws. But you want to know what? One thing that they do know about us, they know our hearts. They know our genuineness. They know our sincerity. They know our kindness. So, family, right there is the ask. I'll need to reset this. We need to raise about another $1,000 that would fund the trip, or I would say fund enough for the trip. That is my character flaw. I'll ask for things and then I begin to reduce. because I look at it, well, what can I bring out of pocket? What can I take out of pocket? Well, Father, what can I? Yeah, I can't do that anymore. And the funny thing is, when I was over in Burkina Faso and Ouagadougou, they were pleading with me. They said, Karis, just go to a hotel. It will be much better for you. It will be much better for your needs and things of that nature. And here's the thing, don't get it twisted. They know all the dossiers, they did all the background checks. They had to know, am I it? Am I legit? Am I, they know. I'm pretty sure they know, okay, this brother got sleep apnea, which I do. I got medical concerns. I said, you know what? It'll be okay. Man, that power shut out and I was dead asleep. That mess felt like I had just woken up from a dream of being suffocated, drowning underwater. You name it. I'm trying to grab air and I knew that Dominican was crazy. He must be demonically possessed. Nah, I darn near died in my sleep. I said, let me not make that mistake again. Yeah, my younger years, it would have been like, nah, I'm cool. Just give me a shelter half. I'll sleep underneath of there. I got some pillows. I got some clothes. Then just get a plastic bag. I'm gonna be all right. And it's crazy because I've never seen that. I've never had to really stay in New York like that. But boy, I never really understood that that's crazy. So we are doing some great things. I talked to some folks at some pretty high levels here. Come next week, we're doing a lot of awesome things behind the scenes, but it all is your support. I'm still working on the container cost to Jamaica. There's a couple things that I need to. Number one, I can't work on the cost just yet until I talk to some folks that will be in the midst of coordinating those efforts. So I need to talk to them because then they will provide the linkage. Because more than likely, I'm going to say likely, they're going to be on the ground and we'll be coordinating with them. So it'll actually be a pretty thorough, organized coordination. Again, this container does not have to span the Atlantic, going to Amsterdam, going to Spain, and then going over into Tema, Ghana, and then going over 1,000 kilometers into um, Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. I think at the most it's about maybe 500 or 600 nautical miles. So that container in reality can be there within a week. Within a week. And I'd say at the most. It's not that, I don't think it'll be that far. And I know it won't definitely take that long. I did try to reach on out to Sister Chantel just to make sure that she was okay, that things weren't looking crazy on over there. Again, please pray for our brothers and sisters over on the continent. Excuse me. So with that, again, in this start of this day, I had put on out the call for a fast on the Covenant Awakening channel, that we're fasting from sun up to sundown, and we're fasting for a breakthrough. I can't give you the details, but all I can say is we're going and we're working through some spiritual things going on, and your help is much needed to allow the Most High to do what needs to be done, because it's going to be the Most High's will anyway. But again, as I had stated on the Covenant Awakenings channel, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. So that's what we are asking for. And by the Most High's grace, that's what will be delivered in a very timely manner. Hallelujah. So with that said, most time willing, I'll be back on here Friday, and I usually go a little shorter than normal, about 7:15, but I kind of overran some things, and now I need to get to work. So with that, thank you, family, for your support. Next week, I should be doing this from New York. Live from New York, it's Q2UA Discussions Live. Oh, all right. So with that said, family, be blessed. Thank you again for your support. The only way that we are able to function here, we do love your prayers. Your prayers are great, but your donations is, that's what pays the bills. So with that being said, all right. Salama, everyone. Be blessed, and do also please take care of yourself in these tumultuous and perilous times. Take care, everyone. Be blessed.